Georgia has produced so much elite talent on the defensive side of the football over the last few seasons. It feels like each year there is a new Georgia prospect to touch on, and this year is no different. They once again have some really nice players who are going to be headed to the pros and should be selected fairly high. The player we will be doing a deep dive on in today's video is cornerback Kamari Lassiter, a guy who is still extremely raw at the position but has a ton of upside. But how good will he be at the NFL level? That is what we will be talking about in today's video. But hey guys, if you guys are new to the channel, consider hitting that like and subscribe button. Ring that notification bell so that you never miss out on a video. And you guys have been absolutely loving the NFL draft content over the last few weeks, which I really do appreciate. Be sure to stay tuned because like I said, I've got a ton of these coming over the next few days. But without further ado, let's get into it. In 2022, Lassiter didn't exactly have elite numbers. He allowed 32 receptions on 55 targets and allowed 419 yards and 2 touchdowns. While it wasn't great, he showed some promise, and he showed that he could be a solid piece to look at in 2023. In 2023, his numbers drastically improved. He allowed only 15 receptions this season, with only 160 yards and no touchdowns allowed in the year, which is a massive jump from 2022 to 2023. Lassiter has great length at the position and offers some nice height as well. He is 6 foot, 180 pounds, and he looks the part of a starting cornerback on the boundary. He has long arms and he has an overall solid frame for the position. He also has really good speed as well. He is rumored to run in the 4.4s, and he has the downfield speed to match up one-on-one with faster wide receivers. His speed especially shows up when closing on the football. He makes quick jumps on the ball and makes some awesome plays with the football in the air. His closing speed is fantastic, and unfortunately, it hasn't really shown up on paper. He has no interceptions over the last 2 seasons and only 1 in his entire collegiate career. He has produced 12 pass deflections over the last couple of seasons, and he shows some really nice closing speed, and while it might not show up on paper, it's there. Lassiter hits with a ton of power as well. He is one of the hardest hitting cornerbacks I have seen in this entire draft. And there are times when it looks like he is shot from a cannon. He can lay down a super hard hit in the backfield, especially on screen plays, and it's really impressive stuff and one of my favorite areas of his game. Lassiter is still really raw in coverage, and it still seems like he's learning the position at times. In press man coverage, I would like to see him be a little bit more aggressive. I want to see him have a bit more of a punch at the line of scrimmage and get his hands on the wide receiver, which is something that he doesn't do very often. He's not very physical with receivers, and that's something that's got to show up, especially in press man, and he just doesn't get his hands on him at all. In zone coverage, there are times when it feels he gets caught staring at the quarterback, or he just gets stiff in the hips, and it's something that has to improve for him. He's got great fluid hips in man coverage, but sometimes he gets flat-footed and he isn't able to recover at that speed that he normally is, and it shows up in zone coverage. I think he's got all the upside in the world. He just needs to be a little bit more refined in press man and zone coverage. Another thing that can improve are his tackling angles. He sometimes will take a wide approach to the ball carrier, and I would like to see him tighten up his approach, tighten up his legs a little bit more, and just go for it. We know how hard he can hit, and I'd like to see it a little bit more. Lassiter is still really raw, and I was expecting a major jump this year. While he has played very good in coverage at times, I still do have some questions. His numbers are great, but he is my cornerback 7 in the class. I like him quite a bit, don't get me wrong, I just want to see him be a bit more refined. He is my number 54 overall player in the class. Lassiter is a guy who I want to see in an off-man coverage scheme. One where he can sag a little bit in coverage, maybe in some disguise zone, but it allows him in one-on-one matchups where he isn't asked to be as physical or handsy with the receiver. At Georgia, in that off-man coverage, he was incredible. I think if he can just drop back a bit, kind of move a little bit with the receiver, let the receiver come to him, it could be very beneficial for him. I think this is an area that Lassiter would really thrive in. Like I said, I think that's where he was at his best at Georgia. I think it's where he'll be the best at the NFL. My pro comparison for Kamari Lassiter is L'Jarius Sneed. Truthfully, coming up with a comparison was really hard because he is still so raw, and you can't really see what his full potential is going to be. But both Lassiter and Sneed are extremely hard hitters at the cornerback position, and they both have displayed very good ball skills. Sneed has 10 interceptions throughout his 3 or 4 year career, and while Lassiter is obviously still raw at the position and getting better, I see some similarities in his game to L'Jarius Sneed, so that's my player comparison for him. Kamari Lassiter has so much raw potential. He has the upside to be one of the top cornerbacks in all of football. But right now, I think he is a bit of a gamble. I think he has a ways to go, and I ultimately think Kamari Lassiter will be a top 50 pick in the 2024 NFL Draft.